Welcome to this deep dive into the fascinating world of lunar archetypes.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to be, looking into Eugenio Carutti's book Las Lunas
Okay.
and unpacking how the moon, according to Carutti, shapes our inner world.
Mhm.
And, it's more than just about your personality. He argues the moon significantly impacts your emotional responses and behaviors based on its position in the zodiac at your birth.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Carutti presents this concept of a lunar mechanism,
Okay.
essentially suggesting that the moon acts like a protective force in our early lives.
Mm.
It's like an invisible shield influenced by the specific energies of our moon sign.
A shield. That's an interesting analogy. So how does this shield work exactly? Does he say what creates it?
Yeah, he describes it as being shaped by our early experiences, those formative years when we're most vulnerable.
Hmm.
The moon, in essence, creates a safe space, much like a mother's womb or a nurturing home.
Okay, so we have this lunar shield formed by our early environment, helping us feel safe and secure. But I'm guessing based on the concept of a mechanism, there's more to it than just protection.
Exactly. Here's where things get really intriguing. While this lunar energy is initially protective, it can also become a limiting factor. Imagine a shield that's so strong it turns into a cage, trapping us in repetitive patterns and habits that no longer serve us.
So how do we recognize when our protective lunar energy has morphed into this potentially restrictive mechanism?
It's often revealed through those recurring challenges you face. Think about the areas where you feel stuck, those moments when you react in ways that feel out of your control, almost as if you're on autopilot.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like our default mode kicks in based on those early lunar imprints. So to break free, we need to understand the specific energies of our moon sign and how they might be playing out in our lives. Right.
Precisely by understanding those lunar patterns, you gain the self-awareness needed to make conscious choices and break free from those limiting habits.
Okay, I'm ready to dive into some specific moon signs. Let's start with Aries. What kind of energy defines this lunar placement?
Well, if you have your moon in Aries, you likely possess a dynamic, assertive energy, almost a fiery impulsiveness. Think of it as a need to take action to be the first one out the gate.
That definitely sounds like Aries. It's almost like a warrior spirit ready to conquer any challenge.
Yes, but remember, this same energy that fuels your courage and independence can also become your Achilles heel, leading to those lunar mechanism moments.
So how would this play out for someone with a moon in Aries? What would their mechanism look like?
Imagine this, you're deeply invested in a project at work, pouring your heart and soul into it. Then a colleague suggests a completely different approach, seemingly dismissing all your efforts. How would you react?
Honestly, knowing a little about Aries energy, I'm guessing my initial reaction would be defensive, maybe even a bit confrontational. Is that what Carutti suggests?
Yeah. That's a classic example of the moon in Aries mechanism in action. It's that knee-jerk reaction to protect your sense of self, to assert your dominance, even in situations that might call for a more collaborative approach.
So the same energy that makes you a fearless leader can also make you quick to anger or overly competitive.
Exactly. The challenge for you with the moon in Aries is learning to manage that impulsiveness. It's not about suppressing your fiery nature, but rather channeling it in a way that empowers you without creating unnecessary conflict.
Okay, that makes sense. Now I'm curious about Taurus. It's an earth sign, so I imagine the energy is quite different.
Absolutely. If your moon is in Taurus, you're likely drawn to stability and security, both emotional and material. Think about the comfort of a warm blanket on a cold night, the feeling of being surrounded by loved ones. Those are the sensations that resonate deeply with your lunar energy.
So it's about feeling grounded, connected to the physical world.
Exactly. And this can manifest in many ways. You might find deep satisfaction in creating a beautiful home environment, cooking delicious meals, or surrounding yourself with nature.
It's almost like a sensual appreciation for life savoring every moment and experience.
Yes, but this deep need for security can also lead to those lunar mechanism patterns. Imagine you've been saving up for a special vacation, something you've been dreaming about for months. Then unexpectedly, your car breaks down, requiring a costly repair. How would you react?
I'm guessing someone with a moon in Taurus would feel deeply unsettled by this disruption to their carefully crafted plan. Is that hitting the mark?
It is. The moon in Taurus mechanism often manifests as a resistance to change, a fear of anything that threatens your sense of stability. It's that clinging to the familiar, even when it might be holding you back from new experiences.
So the challenge is learning to be flexible to adapt to change without feeling like your world is falling apart.
Exactly. It's about developing a sense of security that comes from within, not from external possessions or circumstances.
Okay, I'm starting to see how these lunar patterns can play out in everyday life. Let's move on to Gemini, the sign of the twins. What kind of energy are we dealing with here?
If your moon is in Gemini, you thrive on mental stimulation and connection. Think about a bustling marketplace filled with diverse voices and ideas. That's the kind of environment that nourishes your lunar energy.
So it's about curiosity, communication, and constant learning.
Exactly. You might find yourself drawn to writing, teaching, or any field that allows you to express your thoughts and ideas. You're the ultimate multitasker, always juggling multiple projects and conversations.
But I'm guessing this constant mental activity can also lead to some challenges, right?
Absolutely. The moon in Gemini mechanism often manifests as a fear of emotional depth, a tendency to intellectualize feelings rather than experiencing them fully.
So it's like using your mind as a shield, a way to avoid vulnerability.
Precisely, imagine you're having a disagreement with a loved one, and instead of expressing your hurt feelings directly, you launch into a lengthy analysis of the situation, dissecting every detail.
It's like building a wall of words to protect yourself from the messy reality of emotions.
Exactly. And the challenge for you with a moon in Gemini is learning to slow down your mind, to be present with your emotions, and to communicate them in a way that fosters connection rather than creating distance.
Okay, that's fascinating. We've covered 3 moon signs already: Aries, Taurus, and Gemini. Let's dive into another one before we wrap up this part of the deep dive. What about Cancer?
With moon in Cancer, we're entering the realm of deep feeling and emotional connection. If this is your moon placement, you likely possess a nurturing, sensitive nature with a strong intuition and a deep connection to your inner world. Think about a cozy nest, a place of warmth, safety, and unconditional love.
It's almost like having an internal radar for emotions, both your own and those of others.
Exactly. You might find yourself naturally drawn to caregiving roles, whether it's being a supportive friend, a devoted parent, or a compassionate healer. You have a gift for creating a sense of belonging wherever you go.
That sounds lovely, but I'm guessing this emotional depth can also have its downsides.
It's true. While your sensitivity is a gift, it can also make you vulnerable to feeling overwhelmed by the emotions of others, especially if you haven't learned to set healthy boundaries.
So how does this moon in Cancer mechanism typically manifest?
Imagine you're at a social gathering and you sense that someone is feeling down or withdrawn. Your first instinct might be to rush in and try to fix their problem, even if they haven't asked for your help.
It's almost like a compulsion to nurture even when it might not be appropriate or welcomed.
Exactly, and that's a classic expression of the moon in Cancer mechanism. It's that tendency to take on the emotional burdens of others, even to the point of neglecting your own needs.
So the challenge is finding that balance between caring for others and caring for yourself.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that you can't pour from an empty cup. Learning to set healthy boundaries and prioritizing your own emotional well-being is crucial for you with the moon in Cancer to thrive.
This is fascinating stuff. We'll continue our exploration of lunar archetypes in the next part of your deep dive. Stay tuned. Welcome back to your deep dive. We've been talking about how the moon, according to Carutti, shapes our inner world.
Right.
It's fascinating how these lunar energies, as he calls them, can be both protective and, if not managed well, potentially limiting.
Yeah, exactly. And it's through understanding these patterns,
Yeah.
these so-called lunar mechanisms, that you can start to harness your lunar energy
Yeah.
in a way that empowers you.
I'm eager to explore that more. We've already covered Aries, Taurus, Gemini, and Cancer. What other moon signs can you tell me about?
Let's talk about Leo.
Okay.
If this is your moon sign, you likely have a radiant, expressive energy.
Yeah.
Imagine a sunflower turning its face towards the sun, eager to soak up its warmth and light.
Okay.
That's the essence of moon in Leo.
So it's about confidence, creativity, and a love of being in the spotlight.
Yes. You might find yourself drawn to the arts performance or any field where you can share your unique gifts and talents with the world. You have a natural magnetism that draws people to you.
But as we've seen with other moon signs, there can be a flip side to this, right?
Of course, even the most positive lunar energies can become distorted if we're not aware of their potential pitfalls. The moon in Leo mechanism often manifests as a need for constant validation, a sensitivity to criticism, and a fear of not being seen or appreciated.
So it's like that inner child who craves attention and praise.
Exactly. And when those needs aren't met, it can lead to dramatic reactions, a tendency to withdraw or become overly defensive. Imagine you've put a lot of effort into planning a party, and one of your guests doesn't seem impressed. How would you react?
Knowing a bit about Leo energy, I can see myself feeling hurt and maybe even taking it personally, as if their lack of enthusiasm is a reflection of my own worth.
That's a perfect example of the moon and Leo mechanism in action. The challenge for you with Leo placement is learning to find validation from within, to cultivate a sense of self-worth that's not dependent on external approval.
Okay, that makes sense. It's like learning to be your own biggest fan. Yeah.
Exactly. Let's shift gears now and talk about Virgo.
Okay.
If your moon is in this earth sign,
Mm-hmm.
you likely possess a practical, analytical mind with a strong desire to be helpful and of service to others. Imagine a perfectly organized bookshelf with every book in its designated place. That's the kind of order and precision that resonates with your lunar energy.
So it's about details, efficiency, and a love of problem solving.
Yes, you might find yourself drawn to fields like healthcare research or anything that allows you to use your analytical skills to make a tangible difference in the world. You thrive on structure and routine.
But as we've seen with other moon signs, this meticulous nature can also have its downsides.
Absolutely. The moon in Virgo mechanism often manifests as a tendency to overthink, to be overly critical of yourself and others, and to struggle with perfectionism.
So it's like holding yourself and others to impossibly high standards.
Exactly. Imagine you're working on a project and you just can't seem to get it perfect.
Yeah.
You keep finding flaws, obsessing over every detail, and feeling increasingly frustrated with yourself.
I can definitely see how that could lead to a spiral of self-doubt and anxiety.
It can. And that's why learning to embrace imperfection is crucial for you with the moon in Virgo. It's not about lowering your standards, but rather recognizing that true beauty lies in the imperfections, in the unique quirks that make us human.
That's a great reminder. Okay, let's talk about Libra. What's the lunar energy like for this air sign?
If your moon is in Libra,
Mm-hmm.
you likely have a deep appreciation for harmony, beauty, and balance. Think about a perfectly symmetrical butterfly with its delicate wings spread wide. That's the essence of moon in Libra.
So it's about finding peace, creating beauty, and fostering connection.
Yes, you might find yourself drawn to fields like diplomacy design or anything that allows you to create a sense of equilibrium and beauty in the world. You have a natural gift for mediating conflicts and finding common ground.
But I'm guessing this desire for harmony can also lead to some challenges.
It's true, the moon in Libra mechanism often manifests as a fear of conflict, a tendency to people pleasers, and a difficulty asserting your own needs.
Hmm.
Imagine you're at a restaurant with friends,
Okay.
and everyone is ordering something you don't really like. What do you do?
Knowing a bit about Libra energy, I can see myself going along with the group,
Yeah,
not wanting to rock the boat or make anyone uncomfortable, even if it means sacrificing my own preferences.
that's a classic example of the moon in Libra mechanism in action. The challenge for you with this placement is learning to speak your truth, to set healthy boundaries, and to recognize that true harmony comes from honoring your own needs as well as the needs of others.
Okay, that's a powerful insight. Let's move on to Scorpio, a water sign known for its intensity. What's the lunar energy like here?
If your moon is in Scorpio,
Yeah.
you possess a deep well of emotions and a profound capacity for transformation. Imagine a phoenix rising from the ashes, reborn, and more powerful than ever before. That's the essence of moon in Scorpio.
So it's about intensity, passion, and a willingness to face the shadows.
Exactly. You might find yourself drawn to fields like psychology, investigative journalism, or any profession that allows you to explore the depths of human experience. You have a gift for uncovering hidden truths
Yeah.
and helping others heal from deep emotional wounds.
But I'm guessing this intensity can also be a double-edged sword.
It can. The moon in Scorpio mechanism often manifests as a tendency towards possessiveness, jealousy, and a fear of betrayal. Imagine you're in a relationship
Okay.
and your partner starts spending more time with their friends. How would you react?
Knowing a bit about Scorpio energy, I can see myself feeling threatened, maybe even suspecting that something is wrong, even if there's no evidence to support those fears.
That's a classic example of the moon in Scorpio mechanism in action. The challenge for you with this placement is learning to trust, to let go of control, and to cultivate healthy boundaries in your relationships.
Okay, that makes sense. Let's explore a fire sign now. What about Sagittarius?
If your moon is in Sagittarius, you have a boundless spirit and a thirst for adventure and knowledge. Imagine a wild horse galloping across an open plain, free and untethered. That's the essence of moon in Sagittarius.
So it's about freedom, exploration, and expanding your horizons.
Yes. You might find yourself drawn to travel philosophy teaching or any field that allows you to explore new ideas and cultures.
Mm-hmm.
You have a natural optimism and a belief that anything is possible.
But I'm guessing this wanderlust can also have its downsides.
It's true. The moon in Sagittarius mechanism often manifests as a fear of commitment, a tendency towards restlessness, and a difficulty staying grounded in the present moment. Imagine you've been working on a project for a while.
Okay.
and you start to feel bored or restless.
Yeah.
What do you do?
Knowing a bit about Sagittarius energy, I can see myself jumping ship, eager to move on to something new and exciting, even if it means leaving things unfinished.
That's a classic example of the moon and Sagittarius mechanism in action. The challenge for you with this placement is learning to cultivate patience, perseverance, and a deeper appreciation for the beauty of the present moment. It's not about suppressing your adventurous spirit, but rather finding ways to channel it in a way that supports your growth and fulfillment.
This is fascinating. We'll continue exploring more moon signs in the next part of your deep dive. Welcome back to your deep dive. We've been on quite a journey exploring how the moon, according to Carutti, shapes our inner world. It's been fascinating to uncover these lunar mechanisms, those unconscious patterns that can sometimes hold us back.
Yes, and remember, these mechanisms aren't inherently bad. They stem from a place of protection, a way of navigating the world based on our early experiences. The key is to become aware of them so you can make conscious choices rather than reacting from those ingrained patterns.
Absolutely. We've already covered quite a few moon signs, but I'm eager to learn more. What other lunar energies can you tell me about?
Let's talk about Capricorn. If this is your moon sign, you likely have a strong sense of responsibility and a deep need for structure and order. Imagine a mountain goat steadily climbing a steep cliff, determined to reach the summit. That's the essence of moon in Capricorn.
So it's about ambition, discipline, and a drive to achieve your goals.
Yes, you might find yourself drawn to leadership roles, entrepreneurship, or any field that allows you to build something lasting and meaningful. You have a natural ability to manage resources, both time and money, and you're not afraid of hard work.
And I'm guessing this drive for achievement can also have its downsides.
It's true. The moon in Capricorn mechanism often manifests as a fear of vulnerability, a tendency to suppress your emotions, and a difficulty asking for help. Imagine you're facing a challenging situation at work and you're feeling overwhelmed. What do you do?
Knowing a bit about Capricorn energy, I can see myself pushing through, determined to solve the problem on my own, even if it means sacrificing my well-being in the process.
That's a classic example of the moon in Capricorn mechanism in action. The challenge for you with this placement is learning to soften, to allow yourself to receive support, and to recognize that vulnerability is not a weakness but a strength. It's about finding that balance between self-reliance and interdependence.
Okay, that makes sense. Let's move on to Aquarius, an air sign known for its independent spirit. What's the lunar energy like here?
Well, if your moon is in Aquarius, you likely have a strong sense of individuality and a deep need for freedom and autonomy. Imagine lightning bolts slashing across the sky, illuminating everything in its path with its unique brilliance. That's the essence of moon in Aquarius.
So it's about innovation, originality, and a desire to break free from convention.
Yes, you might find yourself drawn to fields like technology, social justice, or any area where you can challenge the status quo and create positive change in the world. You have a natural ability to think outside the box and to see things from a unique perspective.
But I'm guessing this independent spirit can also have its downsides.
It's true. The moon in Aquarius mechanism often manifests as a fear of intimacy, a tendency to detach from your emotions, and a difficulty expressing your needs in relationships. Imagine you're in a close relationship and your partner starts to express a need for more emotional closeness. How would you react?
Knowing a bit about Aquarius energy, I can see myself feeling uncomfortable, maybe even pulling away, wanting to maintain my sense of independence and space.
That's a classic example of the moon in Aquarius mechanism in action. The challenge for you at this placement is learning to embrace vulnerability, to allow yourself to connect deeply with others, and to recognize that true freedom comes from the ability to love and be loved.
Okay, that's a beautiful insight. And finally, let's talk about Pisces, the last sign of the zodiac. What's the lunar energy like for this water sign?
If your moon is in Pisces, you likely possess a deep well of empathy and a profound connection to your intuition. Imagine a vast ocean with its depths teeming with life, its currents carrying you to unknown shores. That's the essence of moon in Pisces.
So it's about compassion, intuition, and a connection to something larger than yourself.
Yes, you might find yourself drawn to fields like art, music, healing, or any area where you can express your emotions and connect with the spiritual dimension of life. You have a natural ability to sense the feelings of others and to offer comfort and support.
But I'm guessing this sensitive nature can also have its downsides.
It's true, the moon in Pisces mechanism often manifests as a tendency to absorb the emotions of others, a blurring of boundaries, and a difficulty distinguishing between your own feelings and those of the people around you. Imagine you're spending time with a friend who is going through a difficult time. How would you react?
Knowing a bit about Pisces energy, I can see myself feeling their pain deeply, almost as if it were my own. and perhaps even taking on their emotional burden, even if it leaves me feeling drained and depleted.
That's a classic example of the Moon and Pisces mechanism in action. The challenge for you with this placement is learning to protect your sensitive energy, to set healthy boundaries, and to discern between your own emotions and those of others.
This has been such an enlightening journey. It's amazing how these lunar energies, as Carutti describes them, can have such a profound impact on our lives.
Yes, and remember, these energies are not meant to define you, but rather to empower you by understanding your moon sign and its potential pitfalls. You can start to navigate your emotional world with greater awareness and skill, ultimately creating a life that feels more aligned with your true self.
That's such a powerful message. Thank you for sharing your insights with me. It's definitely giving me a lot to think about.
My pleasure. Remember, the journey of self-discovery is ongoing. Keep exploring, keep learning, and most importantly, be kind to yourself along the way.
And thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the world of lunar archetypes. We hope you've enjoyed the journey.